Bonjour, bienvenue à toutes et tous. Je pense que c'est bon, on peut commencer. Bonjour, je m'appelle Guylaine GERMAIN, je travaille pour l'association des journalistes professionnels, l'AJP. Je suis coordinatrice des projets Égalité Diversité au sein de cette union professionnelle qui défend les droits et intérêts des journalistes en Belgique francophone. Je m'occupe de toutes sortes de projets visant, comme le nom l'indique, à amener plus d'égalité, de diversité et dans la profession, mais aussi dans le contenu journalistique présent en Belgique. Mais si vous voulez un petit peu plus d'informations, on a un stade en haut des escaliers au premier étage. On se retrouve aujourd'hui dans le cadre des premières assises européennes du journalisme, ici à Bruxelles, pour discuter de mon sujet préféré, le genre, la diversité et l'intersectionnalité, dans nos rédactions européennes. Je vais commencer par présenter nos 3 invités et expertes, en partant par ici. Tout d'abord, Lina CHAWAF, vous êtes présidente de Community Media Forum in Europe, une ONG qui travaille avec des médias communautaires européens. Reetta NOUSIAINEN, vous êtes doctorante à l'université Haaga-Helia, Helsinki en Finlande, et votre thèse porte sur la diversité ethnique et culturelle dans les rédactions finlandaises. Et enfin, Roxane BIEDERMANN, vous êtes chargée de projet pour Media Diversity Institute, une organisation qui vise à faciliter une couverture responsable des questions de diversité dans les médias et locaux et internationaux. Et juste avant de laisser la parole à nos 3 experts, j'aimerais faire un petit état des lieux de ce qui se passe chez nous en Belgique francophone. Alors, selon notre base de données des journalistes professionnels agréés à l'AGJPB, on dénombre en 2022 moins de 35% de femmes journalistes. Pourtant, elles sont plus diplômées et elles sont beaucoup plus nombreuses à l'entrée de leur carrière par rapport à leurs confrères masculins. Une progression qui se voit d'année en année, de petit pourcent par petit pourcent, mais qui reste quand même assez faible par rapport à d'autres pays européens. En France, par exemple, en 2021, elles étaient 48% de journalistes professionnels. Et en Finlande, depuis 2010, déjà, elles sont majoritaires, plus de 50% dans les rédactions. En 2018, à l'AJP notamment, on a coordonné une étude qui s'appelle « Être femme et journaliste en Belgique francophone », qui listait toutes sortes de raisons pourquoi les femmes fuient les rédactions. Il y en a beaucoup, pour dire les plus importantes. Elles sont moins payées, comme dans plein d'autres domaines. Il y a tout un tabou autour de la maternité des femmes journalistes. Il y a évidemment les mêmes blagues qui perdurent, entre gros guillemets, qui perdurent dans les salles de rédaction. Elles sont cantonnées à certains sujets dits féminins, comme le lifestyle, l'éducation, la santé, etc. Tout autant de raisons qui les rebutent un petit peu à persévérer dans leur carrière. En 2013, on avait une autre étude sur la diversité au sein de la profession journalistique qui dressait le portrait type du journaliste belge en Belgique francophone. Et je dis bien du journaliste, car il s'agit majoritairement d'individus masculins, âgés d'une 40aine d'années, issus d'un milieu social plutôt aisé, belge, nés de parents belges et plutôt universitaires. Donc des études qui montrent une faible diversité dans nos rédactions en Belgique et qui posent évidemment un problème, car s'il y a un manque de diversité dans nos salles de presse, il y aura un manque de diversité dans la dans la formation, et donc une information qui ne parlera pas à tout un pan de la société. Et oublier tout un pan de l'information, c'est quand même oublier toute une part du débat démocratique que les médias d'information sont censés porter. Voilà, donc c'est un très rapide tour de ce qui se passe en Belgique. Et maintenant, on va faire un tour de ce qui se passe en Europe d'une façon plus générale. On va commencer par vous, Roxane. Donc, Roxane BIEDERMANN, vous êtes originaire de Bruxelles. Vous avez étudié la communication à l'IEX et à l'ULB. Et vous avez fait un mémoire sur la représentation des minorités ethniques dans les séries télévisées notamment. Et aujourd'hui, vous êtes chargée de projet pour le Media Diversity Institute et vous portez le projet MAGIC pour Muslim Women and Communities Against Gender Islamophobia in Society, un projet qui vise à sensibiliser à l'islamophobie genrée dans les médias, notamment en Belgique et en Espagne, mais aussi dans plein d'autres pays européens. Roxane, est-ce que vous pouvez nous parler de l'importance de la représentation des minorités dans les médias d'information ?
Yes. Hello, everyone. Thank you for having me here. I'm going to speak in English today. Our other panelists speak English as well. First of all, it's a pleasure to be here, and I'm looking forward to hearing from the other speakers as well. So to answer to your first question regarding the importance of the representation of minorities in the media, very simply, our society is diverse, and the media have to respect our society. Diversity is beautiful. It should be reflected in the media. Also, we have to keep in mind that the ways and the images that are used can be devastating if they incite some hatred or some violence on the ground. So we have to think about the consequences of the image in the media on the ground. An example from the UK is, and I'm going to speak today about gendered Islamophobia, which is a good example of intersectionality. From the UK, we heard that how the media reports on Muslims have contributed to growing hostility towards Muslims on the ground in the UK. And that's an example, but it's the same everywhere in Europe. So yeah, it can have devastating consequences.
Et donc, vous portez ce projet Magic contre l'islamophobie genrée. Est-ce que vous pouvez nous en parler un peu plus? Voilà, comment est-ce que vous êtes arrivé déjà à ce terme d'islamophobie genrée? Comment c'est arrivé et pourquoi vous avez décidé de sensibiliser à ce propos?
Yes, so Muslim women are facing victims of different forms of oppression. Sexism and racism. It was shown that 9 out of 10 Muslims who suffer Islamophobia are women. So intersectionality is when you suffer from different forms of oppression, when different discriminations are overlapping.
Et comment donc ce constat vous est arrivé? Comment est-ce que vous avez monté le projet? Vous avez étudié des médias belges et espagnols pour cela. Quels étaient les exemples que vous en avez tirés?
So yeah, the project is called Magic because it's, you can go to the slide, yeah. So that was MDI, Media Diversity Institute. Perhaps to briefly tell us what we do at MDI is we promote diversity in the media. We encourage a better covering on race, religion, ethnicity, gender, disability, issues in the media around the world. We combat against negative stereotypes and disinformation, and we work to improve media and information literacy. We have different ongoing projects, and one of them is Magic, and I'm managing it. Magic stands for Muslim Communities Against... can you go to the next one as well? Thank you. Muslim Women and Communities Against Gender Islamophobia in Society. It's a 2-year project financed by the European Commission. So we formed a consortium of 4 project partner organizations, 2 from Spain and 2 from Belgium. We're working with Alfanar and the IEMED in Spain, and in Belgium it's the CIB, le collectif pour l'inclusion contre l'islamophobie en Belgique, and MDIG, Media Diversity Institute Global, which is the sister organization of MDI UK. MDI, the head office is in London, and we have a smaller branch in Brussels. So we are working together, and we have different activities planned during those 2 years, including media monitoring, trainings of communication and journalism students, and of civil society as well. So it's a project that has a multi-stakeholder approach. We work with the media on the one hand and with civil society on the other one, and it's important for us to have those groups gathered. So here are some of the findings of our analysis of media. So the media monitoring was really the starting point of the project. We have been analyzing 3 newspapers from Belgium, 3 newspapers from Spain, to see how they cover Muslim women. So from Belgium, we analyzed Le Soir, l'ADH, and the Laatste Nieuws, and in Spain, ABC, La Razón, and El País. And here are some of the striking findings we have. The first one, most striking one, and that was the case in both countries, is the clear lack of Muslim women voices in articles that concern them. So the media talk a lot about Muslim women, but they are rarely asked to talk about them. So we talk about them without them being there. Another finding was that many articles about Muslim women were related to politics. It was mainly politicians speaking about Muslim women, speaking about their heights, their experiences, again, without them being there. We noticed the prevalence of narratives about job discrimination that was for Belgian newspapers mainly, and this could be seen as positive, implying that the Belgian media are aware of the difficulties that Muslim women have in the workplace, but there were also a lot of negative articles about job discrimination. And in those articles, the solution to that problem was quite simple. Muslim women should simply remove their headscarf. We saw, in some of the articles, in many of the articles that would portray the Muslim women in a quite positive way, would do it in opposition to Muslim men. So in those kind of articles, the Muslim woman is seen as victim of sexism, that she suffers from the Muslim men, which was then portrayed as very conservative. No, you can go back. Thank you. There were a lot of articles about the headscarf, which was seen as either imposed on the Muslim women again by the Muslim men, or it was sometimes seen as an activist or ideological stance on her part, which would then be seen as incompatible with European values. We noticed a lot of problematic headlines or titles, in some with racist and negative quotes, and in sometimes the content of the article was quite fine and neutral, but the titles were problematic. And same with images, which tended to represent the Muslim women in disempowering ways. And we also saw, when it comes to images, that the same images were used again and again.
Et est-ce que vous avez pu un peu mettre le doigt sur des explications sur pourquoi est-ce que cette islamophobie genrée est présente? Pourquoi est-ce qu'on utilise des images problématiques ou des titres problématiques, par exemple?
I'm going to continue in English. For titles, I think it's used for clickbait. It's to attract more viewers and to make them read the articles. For images, we're not sure. We're still analyzing the monitoring. Has just been finished now, and we're producing monitoring reports where we explain the findings. It includes qualitative as well as quantitative data. So we're going to look at that and also compare the findings with the analysis of Spanish papers to see what's going there. That's going to come in our monitoring reports. For images, I think it comes also for, I don't know, a lack of really of knowledge about the communities. And for us in this project, it's important that the media and the communities work together. There is a kind of mistrust, I think, from both parts, from the media and from Muslim communities, and that's an issue that needs to be addressed. So what we did after the analysis of media, we presented those findings to a series of experts from Belgium and Spain. We wanted to hear about their thoughts before writing the monitoring reports we're going to work on now. These experts included Muslim community leaders, Muslim women, representatives of CSOs working on diversity, and journalists as well. And here are some takeaways from this national consultation, which I thought would be useful to highlight here. First of all, many Muslim women have become reluctant to engage with the media. It has often been a humiliating experience for them, and they are fed up with the repetitive and stereotypical questions that they have been asked about their Muslim identity. And if they do decide to engage with the media, they are worried about their voices being misrepresented. Another important note was that they are often and almost always only asked to talk about Islamic issues. And again, they're fed up with that. They are never asked or rarely asked to talk about their actual domains of expertise. So these comments didn't come only from one Muslim woman, but from many of them. It was really a common a common point. So I think that's important to keep in mind.
Ok, thank you very much. Maintenant, je me tourne vers Lina CHAWAF. Lina, vous êtes originaire de Damas, en Syrie, et vous êtes journaliste depuis 30 ans maintenant. Vous êtes la présidente de Radio Rosanna, un média indépendant basé à Paris, qui est né en 2013 au lendemain des révoltes arabes, et dont l'objectif est de faire bouger et changer la société. Vous êtes également la présidente du Community Media Forum in Europe, une ONG dont la mission est de défendre et sensibiliser à l'importance des médias communautaires européens. Lina, est-ce que vous pouvez nous en dire un peu plus sur votre parcours en tant que journaliste entre la France et la Syrie?
Yes, I'm going to speak in English too. So it's very different what you talk about gender according to what we face as gender in our community media. We have, of course, issues like gender, but it's different like we face something like with a society because we are work. Sometimes I will not say the whole society, but some of the society describe you as you work, there is stigma about some of the society. So this is a different kind of gender actually. In our radio, we are 3 women who founded this radio. So our challenge is I will not say double, maybe treble, or than if a man or men founded in media. Unfortunately, because the law in Syria and even in whole Syria now, even if Syria divided now, it's not protect the right of women. So, for example, if we have, like you said, having women in the news desk is very important because you will have diversity in your content, and we really sense this through our work. But at the same time, if you have only women and if you don't have men in the news desk, its gender is not only women, is really balanced between all this. So we are trying in our media to really make this balance, especially that we are the majority of the team is women, and this is something not usual in Syria, in our community media. So we are facing a lot of challenge. We in the team we have diversity of women like me, women with scarf, women from different area, but all of us, when we talk about some sensitive issues, for example, we have story about a woman who has to use bicycle inside Syria because now it's a war, the prices of the gas, everything, and it's a stigma for her on our social media. Of course, I'm not saying, again, not all the people, but always there's people who attack us and her, shame on her because she using bicycle, for example. Woman who has to work because some very difficult circumstances, especially now. Women are more than men inside Syria. So women now has to work. They get a lot of harassment sometimes if they want to go and apply for work. They don't dare to talk about it because they will face something not protected by law. And they don't know, if they are in the diaspora, they don't know that there is law, for example in Turkey, who protect them in this case. So, for example, if one of our hosts, she's woman, and she's present a woman program, and she's talking about sensitive issues like harassment or like being free and able to choose as a woman your decision or your way in life. Then they attack her on social media. Again, not all of them, because there is some of them who support her and send messages, private messages, and in the social media. But there is some of them go to her private life, send to her husband, threatening her, threatening us. So our life has become like really a disaster, and you feel like always under threatened, like you are under like this light, very like strong light all the time, because we are talking about gender. And diversity is different, like what you're talking about. You're talking about Islamophobia. No, here it's really so different.
Vous recevez plus finalement de menaces et de harcèlement dans une rédaction comme Radio Rosanna, qui est beaucoup plus diversifiée que dans un média, on va dire, mainstream, normal, dans lequel vous avez déjà pu travailler auparavant.
Yes, we are receiving more because we are women, unfortunately. As I said, we have trouble challenge always because we are women. You are facing, they go into your private life. This is where sometimes they don't go in a private life of a man, you know. Sometimes they say, go back to the kitchen, it's your place. One of the comments that we receive sometimes, what are you doing here, for example? It's not your place. This is a nicest comment. There is, like, of course, more bad and like impolite comment.
Vers quoi ou vers qui vous vous tournez quand ça vous arrive? Parce que c'est un média indépendant. Est-ce que peut-être, par exemple, vous présidez le Community Media Forum in Europe. Est-ce que c'est une organisation qui vient en aide à ce genre de médias, justement, pour répondre à ce harcèlement, ces attaques que vous subissez?
Yes, in CMFE, we are supporting independent media all over in Europe, and we are registered in Europe, and especially the independent media who struggle, who doesn't have like enough funding, or they got threatened, or they got biased, or like censorship from some government. So we are supporting all this community media that they are all over Europe, and we are trying to like make a petition with them or something like this, or like even communicate with EU sometimes to put pressure on the like government or the party or the side who put the pressure on them.
Okay.
Yeah.
Je pense qu'on pourra en discuter un petit peu plus pendant les questions-réponses ensuite avec le public. Et je me tourne maintenant vers Reetta NOUSIAINEN. Reetta, bonjour. Vous êtes professeure de journalisme à l'université Haaga-Helia à Helsinki et vous faites également une thèse de doctorat sur la diversité des salles de presse finlandaises, en vous concentrant notamment sur la diversité ethnique et culturelle. Et vous avez mis en place aussi 2 programmes de formation pour... Do you want me to speak in English? Maybe? Okay. I can do it in English. So you are working on a thesis about diversity, ethnic and cultural diversity in the newsroom in Finland, and you also worked on 2 programs for immigrant journalists at your university, and the third one will be in 2023. Can you maybe talk about these programs for immigrant journalists?
We had 2 programs for immigrant journalists at Haaga-Helia, University of Applied Sciences. And when we first started those programs, we didn't really know if there are immigrant journalists in Finland at all. But we kind of had the idea that we need to do something because reality looked different than the newsrooms look. So you could see that it's ethnic diversity in the streets of Helsinki, but then the newsrooms are like I am. It's very white and middle class and mostly female working there.
Okay, and so it's mostly female. How did you do it? How did you maintain female journalists into the newsroom?
Well, it's a long story, I would say, but just to make it short, it's not only in journalism, but overall in the society. Finland is a very small country, and I think it's so small that everybody is needed everywhere, and there's been a strong ethos of having everybody included in the society. And after the Second World War, women were starting to work in public life. And well, reasons for that, one of the reasons were that we actually needed everybody to work, but also free education, and then good like maternal leaves and something like social decisions have been supporting women to attend public life.
Okay. And is there some policies or programs to attract more diverse, people from diversity, also in journalism?
Unfortunately, not that much. We try to do something, but there is very strong ethos in political speech that we need diversity in our society, and we need immigration. We need more people in Finland, but there are some boundaries that we should break, and some of that has to do with the Finnish language, and I think we should try to understand it a bit differently. What is a good language skill in terms of Finnish society?
And so you're doing your thesis about it. What is the state of the ethnic and cultural diversity in Finland?
Yes, I'm trying to. It is slightly connected to the project that we're doing at the school, but we're trying to change newsrooms to become more diverse in terms of ethnicity. And I've just recently started, and so far I know mostly about what editors-in-chiefs think about diversity, ethnic diversity. And they think that it's very important, but it's very difficult to do anything about it, if I just briefly say what I've found so far.
Okay, maybe you had a presentation, maybe you want to...
I have a few slides if we have some time. So as mentioned, we had two non-degree programs for immigrant journalists at Haaga-Helia University of Applied Sciences. And so far we have had altogether 34 journalists from 17 different countries attending the programs. And we actually worked in Finnish, and these programs were meant for journalists that had professional education or experience, but somewhere else than in Finland. And as I mentioned, the whole idea for the program we got when comparing what I saw in the streets of Helsinki and how I knew Finnish newsrooms are, and there is a huge gap there. The street view has changed over last decades, but newsrooms are still very white and Finnish-speaking, very middle class. And Finland has been a very homogeneous country for a long time, but now it's changing really rapidly. So it's estimated that in 2035, 1/4 of people living in Finland, actually Helsinki region, are non-native Finnish or Swedish speakers. And it's a huge change in all Finnish society, and we don't really even understand how big the change is. So it's pretty much what you were talking earlier as well, that several studies show that in Finnish journalism, immigrants are usually represented by some other people, like police, social worker, unemployment official, etc. And the angle is most often like problem. So immigrants are represented as problem via some other people. And so the gap between what's reality in Finland and what media is representing is growing, and it's huge. And it creates mistrust. Actually, you can probably go on with this slide. So what we did, it was very like with the programs, we had journalists coming in there, and it was very practical kind of education. And since we had students from all over the world, questions were very kind of basic, but very essential, like how to begin an email for Prime Minister in Finland. You just start it with hi, and that's fully okay in Finland. I know it's not okay pretty much everywhere else in the world, but in Finland that's how we write in Finnish. Also, there are a lot of like differences. Even so, we think that journalism is like one shared language. There are huge differences on how journalists in different countries can trust, let's say, officials or interviews or whatever. So it was kind of very principled, but very, and we discussed a lot how to communicate to your sources what you're doing and how to contact the newsroom to pitch your story. So it was very cultural related kind of program, because most of the, I mean, that all the students knew the journalism itself already. So in practice, we did. We wanted to create new ways to collaborate. So we had our native Finnish degree students and immigrant journalists working together with same stories, and we thought that maybe they would do something that no one could do by themselves. So these immigrants that have been living in Finland for some for a longer time and some for a short time, they knew different sources, they knew different angles, they knew different topics than our students. But then again, our students knew the Finnish tradition of journalism and how to work within journalism in Finland. And that was our aim, to create something that no one could do by themselves. And what we learned during the program is that it takes a lot of time, and there are a lot of misunderstandings, and but it's possible for make groups of journalists from different cultures and countries and languages and make them work together in one story. And we managed to publish several stories, some in biggest news outlets in Finland. And I think that was pretty much what was the biggest achievement. And next, as mentioned, we will have our new program starting next year. And now our aim is to go more to the newsrooms with the students and try to create new ways to work within newsrooms with immigrant journalists. Also, we have funding for stipends, scholarships for immigrant journalists, so they can just fully concentrate on this and not work in some other stuff like nursing or cleaning, that they used to do.
Okay. Thank you, Reetta. Thank you all. I think it's time now for maybe the Q&A part with the public. If anybody has a question for our experts here.
Bonjour. Hello, I am journalist Iraqian. I work with the Wire in my city Mosul, but I have many experience with what do you have? ISIS, Daesh, and the same problem in Syria. I have many questions, but I want to speak. This is Arabic for Madame and journalist Lina. Sorry, I want to speak Arabic. مرحبا مدام لينا، أنا أود أن أسألك بموضوع بالتحديد. لا زال التطرف موجود. Sorry. Oh, okay.
In the state, the continua, ISIS in the space and many cities in the Syria, ISIS. How time in the stoppage for the ISIS? How time in the finish for the refugee and for the in the same space Syria?
ما فهمت. I don't understand. Say it in Arabic. I'll translate it.
أنا أتحدث عن موضوع النازحين اللاجئين. أنا أتحدث عن النازحين واللاجئين الذين عادوا وأيضا قصفوا في الأحداث الأخيرة من لبنان إلى سوريا، وأيضا لا زالت مناطق مدعومة في الإرهاب، على التحديد منطقة الرقة، إدلب، دير الزور. أنا لدي معلومات بهذا الموضوع. لا زال يوجد دعم بالدولار إلى هذه المنطقة على شخصيات كبيرة بداعش.
Okay. She's asking about extremists in Raqqa and there, like the northeast of Syria. She said it's funded by political money, and she's sure about this. And what about terrorism there? It's political issues, of course. Here we are talking about media, but of course now there is no more ISIS in the big picture. There is some people who believe in this in their mind, but there is not. There is no ISIS in the general meaning, but there is, of course, terrorism, but not only in Raqqa. It's it's everywhere. But it's I think it's not. It's political more. It's not media. So we cover, of course, something like this because we are community, but everything is connected to this. But maybe we can talk later about this, you and me. Yeah.
Good afternoon. My name is Carolina Alvarez. I come from Mexico, a country that is facing a lot of feminicides, and I am a migrant here. According to my experience there, I would like to ask a question. I have faced violence here, harassment in the street here in Brussels, and according to the statistics, there have been 18 feminicides in Belgium in 2022, and the last one was Teresa Rodriguez, a Spanish nurse that was killed by her former boyfriend that came all the way from Spain. So how can we stop this gender violence here in Brussels? Because it's important to stop it. It's not one time, it's many times I have faced violence in the street, verbal, not physical, but like bullying from men, especially for being a woman. And it worries me because I'm living here and also to protect other women. It's complicated, the subject, but I think I would not like to this situation raises here in Belgium. If we can stop it.
Ce qu'on peut faire et ce qu'on a déjà fait par exemple à l'association des journalistes professionnels ici en Belgique, c'est essayer de sensibiliser les journalistes sur les violences faites aux femmes. Et à l'AJP, nous avons sorti l'an dernier un guide sur le traitement médiatique des violences faites aux femmes à l'attention des journalistes qui liste une dizaine de recommandations sur les bons mots à employer, les bonnes illustrations également, comment gérer son journal, comment gérer son billet, qu'est-ce qu'on peut dire, qu'est-ce qu'on ne peut pas dire, pour essayer de sensibiliser et les journalistes, mais aussi le public à qui les journalistes s'adressent. Voilà, pour avoir un meilleur traitement dans les médias et pour essayer au maximum d'en finir avec ces violences contre les femmes. Et voilà, nous avons même d'ailleurs des petits exemplaires de ces guides, si jamais sur notre stand, si vous voulez aller jeter un œil. Voilà, je ne sais pas quelles sont peut-être les recommandations ou les choses qui peuvent être faites en Finlande ou en France ou en Syrie ou ailleurs. Mais en tout cas, c'est ce qu'on a au moins essayé de faire ici en Belgique.
The law, I think. The law, we don't have a law, at least here in Europe, there a law protects something like this, but in Syria, the law is not protecting the woman right at all. Nothing. If we have, for example, honor criminal, when it's happened, the law it's release the man who killed the woman because it's honor criminal. For example, this is a very small example happened since years and years in Syria.
Hello, thank you for your interventions. I was just wondering, you all studied inequalities by science, through science, by trying to understand how it works in a redaction. When you bring the results of your work into the redaction, when you say, okay, you have a problem with diversity, with equality, with gender representation, or with racial representation, sorry, how do they react when they face it, when they face the result of your work?
Who here? How do I didn't get
excuse-moi, je vais en français du coup. Quand vous rapportez le résultat de vos études justement aux rédactions, aux rédactions, parce que vous faites des études, comment les rédactions réagissent? Est-ce qu'elles sont à même de se remettre en question, d'évoluer sur leur perception, sur la manière de faire les choses?
Donc, par exemple, dans mon cas, les journaux qu'on a analysés dans le suivi de médias. On n'a pas encore partagé les résultats avec les journaux dits. C'était une suggestion lors d'une des consultations avec les experts. On va le faire et on est curieux de la réaction aussi. Par contre, quand on organisait ces consultations nationales en présentant les résultats, on cherchait à avoir des leaders de la communauté musulmane et des journalistes. Et les journalistes étaient toujours les plus durs à convaincre de venir, en fait. Les communautés, les leaders, les femmes musulmanes, on en avait toujours trop. Et les journalistes, il fallait un petit peu plus les convaincre. Donc, je suis curieuse aussi de voir quelle sera leur réaction. Et voilà, ce sera dans notre rapport.
Moi, si je peux rapidement répondre aussi à propos de la Belgique, on voit une petite réaction quand même de la part des rédactions et de plus en plus essayer de faire des efforts là-dessus. Si on prend rien que l'exemple de la RTBF qui s'est dotée d'une gender editor, voilà, pour vraiment faire attention à toutes ces questions d'égalité, de diversité au sein de la rédaction, mais aussi au sein des contenus. Ils ont aussi tout un média féministe avec les grenades et plein d'autres... et journaux et médias vraiment prennent le pas, essaient d'analyser leur propre contenu. Alors parfois c'est des médias un peu plus de niche comme Médor ou Imagine demain le monde qui vont vraiment faire leur propre analyse de leurs intervenants et intervenantes, mais ils essaient vraiment de faire un effort là-dessus, de se renseigner et d'évoluer dans le bon sens. Une dernière question?
Oui, donc j'ai une question. Oui. Pardon. Oui. J'ai une question, donc c'est par rapport... donc désolée, c'est pas par rapport à la diversité, c'est plus par rapport au sexisme dans les rédactions. Quand on est une femme et qu'on est face à du harcèlement dans une des rédactions, on se retrouve à n'avoir aucune solution en soi. Soit on se tait et on subit, soit on parle et on prend le risque de ne pas être cru ou de devoir juste quitter notre emploi. Quand on est face à cette situation, qu'est-ce qu'il existe, même pas spécialement en Belgique, ça doit arriver dans d'autres pays forcément, mais moi ça m'intéresse plus spécifiquement en Belgique parce que c'est un peu mon avenir, entre guillemets. Quand on est face à ces problèmes, est-ce qu'il y a des solutions qui aident ces femmes justement qui sont obligées de quitter leur emploi parce que parfois juste se plaindre, la hiérarchie est aussi, on va dire, complice, ça suffit pas. Comment aider ces femmes? Est-ce que ces femmes sont aidées lorsqu'elles sont face à ces problèmes? Est-ce qu'il y a des subventions pour ces femmes qui perdent leur emploi ou est-ce qu'elles sont perdantes dans tous les cas et qu'au final, elles auraient peut-être même mieux fait de, entre guillemets, subir parce qu'au final, elles se retrouvent sans job et peut-être sans solution?
Je vais répondre rapidement pour la Belgique, encore une fois. Vous pouvez quand même vous tourner vers vos rédactions si vous êtes salarié. Comme je disais, il y en a qui évoluent. La RTBF a adopté une tolérance zéro vis-à-vis du harcèlement de ses journalistes, en particulier les femmes. En tout cas, ils essaient d'y faire attention. D'autres médias y font attention, d'autres non. Et si vous n'avez pas de solution, vous avez aussi l'AJP en Belgique qui s'occupe de traiter tout à fait ce genre de questions. On a accompagné des journalistes femmes harcelées, cyberharcelées ces derniers temps et ça a payé. Donc n'hésitez pas à vous tourner vers nous et vers d'autres organisations professionnelles en Europe, il en existe. et voilà, je ne sais pas quelle est la situation ailleurs en Europe, s'il y a des institutions qui aident effectivement ces journalistes harcelés, mais nous on est là.
If we talk about our case that we face, yes, there is many organizations who support this. Civil society organization, there is RSF, Reporter Without Border. There is many organizations can support, and we have civil society organization working for women. And when you are in diaspora, in a country where the law protect your right, you can of course go to the law, and at the end you will get your right in this.
Oui. Dernière question.
Donc la dernière question, j'interviens rapidement. Je suis Pablo Iquel, secrétaire général adjoint du SNJ-CGT, qui est un des grands syndicats de journalistes en France, enfin un des plus importants, pas très grands, et membre du comité directeur de la Fédération européenne des journalistes. Moi, je voulais vous poser une question sur le racisme dans les médias, le racisme dans les rédactions, puisque pour parler de diversité dans les contenus, il faut aussi parler de diversité dans les rédactions. Et nous avons mené une enquête entre cet été et fin septembre sur les discriminations dans les rédactions. Les résultats sont en train de se terminer, l'analyse, et les résultats seront donnés en début d'année prochaine. Mais je voulais vous entendre sur ce que vous pensez sur le racisme qui peut exister dans les rédactions. Il n'y a pas énormément de diversité. Est-ce que ce n'est pas à partir de là que commencent déjà les discriminations et l'absence de diversité?
Tout à fait. Encore une fois, pour parler de la Belgique, notre dernière étude date de 2013 et on est en train d'en lancer une nouvelle pour 2023-2024. Donc, pareil, on espère voir un peu d'évolution sur la gestion de la diversité au sein des rédactions. Voilà, nos derniers résultats sont un peu... maintenant, datent un petit peu. Voilà, on a toujours le même portrait type du journaliste, pas très diversifié. Et on imagine pourquoi. On a tous les mêmes retours sur les stéréotypes racistes qui sont encore subis dans les rédactions. J'ai pas vraiment de données fiables à avancer. Est-ce que peut-être Reetta, you are studying ethnic diversity into the newsroom? Maybe you can answer. How do you deal with it in the newsroom, and how do you attack it?
In Finnish context, I don't know if there's there's no any research on racism in newsrooms because we have so little ethnic diversity in the newsrooms. But I would be very interested in your research when it's been published. I hope it will be in English as well, so I could read it. Google Translate. Yes, that's the way to do it. But so we have no such research in Finland.
Okay. Well, I think we are done. Thank you all for your attention. Thank you to our 3 experts today, and yeah, you can applause them.